Virginia Tech, 10 years later. One by one, 32 names called out as the university honors those lives lost.
They represented the best in our Hokie Nation.
With each candle lit, the campus community moves forward together.
We are strong. We are together.
Our special coverage continues tonight on WDBJ7 at 11. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm Sarah Maki. Virginia Tech is marking 10 years since that horrific shooting killed 32 people April 16th, 2007. WDBJ7's Shane Dwyer begins our live team coverage on the drill fields tonight, where a candlelight vigil wrapped up earlier. So, Shane, I'm sure that this was a very impactful moment.
Sarah, a very impactful night and day and weekend it has been. The candles alone were an amazing visual. But you know when they say that silence is deafening, that is what it was like tonight. People felt the need to be here, and they say this is just what they needed this time of year. It was 10 years ago this same scene played out. A sundown crowd at Burris Hall with emotions overflowing.
My cousin was here when the shooting occurred, and just our family has always been surrounding this event, and it's pretty awesome to be here for the first time and seeing like the candles. It's just kind of magical.
As the clock struck 7:30, 32 candles were lit, 32 names projected aloud. Those candles then made their way out, lighting every candle in the crowd from the single flame.
I see kind of like the orange, like of Virginia Tech, you know, it's the orange and the maroon, and tonight this was it, so it's really special.
For 32 minutes, silence at the April 16th memorial roared. A minute to remember each classmate, teacher, family, and friend.
It made it more personal to me. I was very impressed. There's no rushing through it. Everyone is given their moment, and I've heard the names now about 5 times this weekend. And it just drives it home further and further, closer to your heart.
Each person in the crowd with reasons of their own for coming, but 32 reasons will always thread them together.
A lot more people have come back to campus for the anniversary, and it feels a little strange that it's been 10 years already, but I think the sense of family and the sense of community never changes.
One flame remaining on the drill field this evening. That is the ceremonial candle at the April 16th memorial. In less than an hour, there will be a collection of people out on the drill field to extinguish that candle and carry the flame back into Burris Hall. Joining me now is Eamon O'Mara. Eamon, we've been here both all day today. That is how we are ending the evening, by extinguishing that candle. How did we start it?
Well, the evening started, Shane, with the commencement ceremony of the 32 lives lost. It featured family and friends of the victims, as well as members of the Virginia Tech community. It was a powerful chance to see just what this area and, in the words of Senator Tim Kaine, the world lost.
Those we lost forever are a part of this university's spirit, a spirit of community, empathy, strength, service, and courage. We honor them with everything we do to make our campus, our communities, our country, and our world a better place.
University President Tim Sands coupled his own words with those of a letter from President George W. Bush and his wife Laura Bush, who were in office in 2007.
I pray that you have felt the grace and guidance of a loving God. I pray that your suffering has begun to be replaced by hope and healing.
Another elected official who was in office is Senator Tim Kaine, who was governor of Virginia 10 years ago. He spoke of how he learned who the victims were and developed relationships with their families.
I continue to be in awe of their strength and resilience, and I cherish these friendships and relationships 10 years later.
But he did not just talk about their parents.
Many of the youngsters, the young survivors, or the children of professors who were killed have kind of adopted me and my staff as informal career coaches and letter of reference writers, and it's something we are very, very proud to do.
After those two addresses, it was time to read out who each of the 32 was and a brief description of them.
Ross A. Alameddine.
Hearing about the lives of our brothers and sisters, it's always nice. It always makes me feel more connected to the 32 students who we lost.
Then there was a moment of silence and prayer, and before everyone would depart, there was one last important message to voice.
So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are part of us. We remember them.
Now, as you saw in that video, as the other speakers left the stage, University President Tim Sands and Senator Tim Kaine instead approached the families of the victims. They spent about an hour speaking with each family. Now, Sarah, these by no means were the only events today, but the commemoration was the first time that these people were speaking publicly about the victims here today.
All right, thank you so much for that report, Shane and Eamon. Thank you, guys. Well, Governor Terry McAuliffe has helped continue ceremonies this morning at Virginia Tech. He joined current university president Tim Sands and former president Charles Steger as they both laid wreaths at the April 16th memorial. A moment of silence then followed at 9:43. That's when the gunman started shooting inside Norris Hall on campus. There were no speeches, no music, but the silence spoke volumes. And that wasn't the only chance for religious reflection on campus today. The We Are One gathering this afternoon brought together more than 70 local churches in an effort to unite one another. Organizers say in addition to this being the 10th anniversary of the shooting, this year is also special because today falls on Easter.
Jesus will be celebrated, and really the focus of the event is on Jesus and healing of the community. Everyone knows there's a spiritual aspect to themselves, and so when that comes about, they want deep healing, but they don't know how to get it.
The gathering is multi-denominational, and first responders also received a thanks for their service. So many people were affected deeply by this tragedy, from the families who lost loved ones to the students who survived. We sat down with Virginia Tech's president, Timothy Sands, to talk about how this community is grieving. Here is what he had to say.
And what you learn when you watch and talk to people who were here on April 16, 2007, is that everybody grieves differently. Everybody goes through a different process, and they're all in different places. But we're really focused this week on remembering those we lost and supporting the families and those who were on campus then, the first responders, the friends, the students who were maybe uninjured but on campus. And then we also are making a pledge that we'll never forget.
Colleges and universities across the country looked at their own emergency plans after those shootings. We checked in with some Roanoke County institutions to see what changes they made to their security.
It was quite a shock at the time, and you're just trying to absorb it.
Hollins University's Carrie Edmonds says she was in a cabinet meeting when security came in with early reports of a shooting in Blacksburg.
You start thinking through, is there any concern about our campus? Do we need to be aware of anything?
It was soon clear that Hollins would need to make changes. They installed these cameras around campus, put up speakers in public areas, and practiced active shooter scenarios. One of the biggest challenges was communication.
As technology has evolved, we've been able to move along with that so that now we can just send one message out and it goes email, text, Facebook, Twitter, all of those types of things.
Hollins had a lot of their new security measures, things like these swipe cards, in place within a year after the shooting. At Roanoke, college administrators strengthened their care team, threat assessment, and training. They also started a text message alert system, Maroon Alerts, and placed
Emily,
phones in classrooms. Admins say this is the new normal for their students.
This is also being implemented in the K through 12 system. So I think they're coming in kind of with an understanding of this is how we have to operate today. Whereas I think the students at the time, it was a shock to the system for everybody.
Edmonds says that they bought some new equipment like door jamming devices within a week of the shooting. She estimates the total upgrade cost is in the tens of thousands up to six figures. Another aspect of college life that changed significantly 10 years ago is how schools handle mental health. Schools like Virginia Tech and Radford began taking issues and concerns much more seriously. Some students also began coming in for help. So counselors began sharing information with each other to prevent any other tragedies.
When that happened, there wasn't a lot of communication, and we still have the laws of HIPAA and FERPA
But at least now we have these care teams in place, threat assessment teams in place, gatekeeper training so people are aware of things. I think we coordinate and communicate better to try to intervene more effectively.
Sullivan says new care teams try to work on more proactive ways instead of reactive. And we have brought you continuing coverage of this week anniversary all weekend long. You can find all of our Virginia Tech stories online at WDBJ7.com.